2001 regular meeting of the Board of Adjustments and Appeals for the City of Titusville. At this time, I want to ask everyone to please join me as we pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. Do we want to do the swearing in before we do the roll call? What is this?
Chelsea's going to carry it off till next month.
Oh, swearing him in? But he's still here?
He's an official member of the
Oh, so you're here. All right. Thank you, Chelsea. All right. So then we have roll call, please.
Chairman Taylor?
Here.
Member Smith Rodriguez?
Here.
Member Van Dieven?
Here.
Member Wheelis?
Here.
Alternate member Van Zildejan?
Here. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. We have a quorum here. First item up is approval of minutes from our June 23rd meeting. Did anyone see any corrections or additions that need to be made to the minutes from that time period? Mm-hmm. May I have a motion then?
Motion to approve it?
All right. Is there...
I second the motion.
Very good. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, then that carries. Oh, good. Time for me to make a little speech. All persons who anticipate speaking on any public hearing item must fill out an oath card to be heard on that agenda item and sign the oath contained thereon. These cards are located on the table near the entrance to the council chamber and or may be obtained from the recording secretary. This meeting will be conducted in accordance with procedures adopted in 24-1997. That means if you intend to speak tonight, you need to go get a card, fill it out, and bring it to the secretary before the item is called up to be, even if you're an applicant, you need to bring your paperwork up. Those speaking in favor of a request will be heard first. Those opposed will be heard second, and those who wish to make a brief comment on an item will speak third. The applicant may make a brief rebuttal if necessary. A representative from either side, for or against, may cross-examine a witness. Anyone who speaks is considered a witness. If you have photographs, sketches, or documents that you desire for the council or the commission to consider, they must be submitted as evidence and will be retained by the city. Please submit such exhibits to the recording secretary. And, all right, staff. Okay, first, we talked about the oath card. Staff, have the items coming before us tonight been properly advertised?
Yes.
Very good. Have there been any members that have visited or spoken to members in the public regarding what we're going to be speaking on this evening?
No.
Shake your head. All right. Showing none in that case. Let's see. So next up is consent agenda, which we don't have any. We don't have any old business. First item up is next is our annual, which is a little late, annual selection of our officers. We have two officers. We have a chairman and a vice chairman. And the vice chairman position has gone vacant since Sid is no longer with us. So, are there any nominations for somebody that wants my job?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah, you I can't. So, anybody? Do what?
You can have your job.
Well, then nominate me. I can't nominate myself. I'm sorry. Turn your mic.
Okay. I formally move for Chairman Taylor to retain his position as chairman of this board.
All right. Are there any other nominations? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So now we have an open slot for vice chairman. Do we have any volunteers, or we just twist arms? He pointed this way.
I nominate Member Smith Rodriguez.
Okay.
Rodriguez Smith.
All right.
I'll
Okay.
accept the nomination.
All right. Any other nominations? Nobody else wants it. Okay. All those in favor for Kristen to be vice chairman, please vote aye.
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 Any opposed? Very good. Congratulations. New blood. Okay. I'm sorry, I have fun up here. So, all right. Our first item up is variance number 12-2021. Address is 115 North Daleon Avenue. And staff, oh gosh, what page does that pop down to on our screen here?
That'll be on page 11.
Page 11. All right, click. Sir, you're holding papers, yes, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, well, okay. Have you turned in your papers to her?
Just finished it.
Well, okay. We'll get to the public hearing part in just a moment. So, all right, staff, lead us through what we have here.
Alrighty. As I said, this item begins on page 11. I'll let you guys take a second to get there. So the applicant, David Brady, is requesting a variance to Land Development Regulations Section 30-182A2 to allow a variance of 2 feet in lieu of the 6 feet maximum height requirement for a fence and any required side or rear setback for the property located at 115 North Daleon Avenue. The zoning is the single-family high-density residential R1C. The surrounding zoning districts are to the north, single-family high density, to the north, south, east, and west, single-family high density, R1C. The property does meet the minimum size and width requirement in the R1C zoning district. The lot size is 7,405 square feet and rectangular in shape with 90 linear feet of frontage on North DeLeon Avenue. So section 34-226 states out the criteria used when reviewing a variance, and I'll briefly go over them. A, special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved and which are not applicable to other land, structures, or building in the same zoning. B, special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. C, granting the variance requested will not confer upon the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the ordinance or other lands, buildings, or structures in the same zoning district. D, the literal interpretation of the provisions of the ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district under the terms of the ordinance. E, the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of land, building, or structure. F, the granting of variance will preserve the spirit of the ordinance and remain in harmony with the general purpose and intent. G, in granting the variance, the public safety and welfare must be assured. And H, in no case shall the granting of variance result in a change of use which would not be permitted in that zoning. So I'll go ahead and move along to the analysis portion. The applicant wishes to replace the fence and is requesting a variance of 2 feet in lieu of the 6 foot minimum height requirement for a fence. Within the rear yard in the R1C zoning district. This is due to the wear and tear of the existing fence, which leans outwards, and it causes it to stand at a slanted angle. So section 30-182 AC of the code states that for the rear yard, the maximum height of a fence or wall in any required side or rear yard be 6 feet. The applicant wishes to place an 8-foot tall fence in the rear yard of the property. The applicant stated that the rear yard has a downward elevation when facing east, causing a lack of privacy between the applicant and the abutting neighbors as the inside of the neighbors' homes could be viewed from above the fence. Along a portion of the home in the rear yard, a hill exists overlooking the above-ground pool. Based on the site inspection made by staff, the hill appears to be a pile of gravel material which causes an estimated 1 feet of elevation. When standing upon the hill, it is possible to overlook the rear yard 6-foot high fence onto the abutting neighbors' properties. So staff recommends denial of the request to allow a variance of 2 feet in lieu of the 6 feet. There are no special conditions or circumstances that exist which are peculiar to the land. Conditions of the lot do not hinder the applicant from meeting the intent of the code. Special circumstances do result from the actions of the applicant, as the hill in the rear yard, which causes the line of vision overlooking the fence, is not a natural occurrence of the land. The variance requested violates the intent of the ordinance, as the intent of the fence height standard is to maintain an aesthetic continuity of structures in harmony with the surrounding neighbors. So if we jump down to page 18 of the agenda, you'll see where the applicant is proposing to install the fences, which will be along the side yard on both sides and the rear yard property line. If we jump further down to page, give me a second, my laptop is, it's page 29. We have some images of the rear yard. So if you're able to see the fence, it is an older fence, obviously, and it slants outward, which is causing it to not stand at the upright position. Next picture over is the fence overlooking the pool onto the abutting neighbors' yards. And page 31 and 32, those are just, additional photos. And we want to point out page 33, which that sort of non-natural hill that is, right up against the home. When you're standing on that hill, you're able to overlook the fence and to see onto the other properties. And that concludes my presentation, so I'll be able to answer any questions that you have.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Do you have a measurement of the distance of the pool from the rear property line?
Do not have a concrete measurement, but it's no more than 3 feet.
3 feet?
Correct.
Do you have a record of a permit being obtained for the installation of the pool?
No, there's not.
Just let me raise this point immediately. The National Electrical Code requires that the pool be at least 10 feet horizontally placed from the power lines overhead and 17 feet measured diagonally from the edge of the water to the power line. So it's a clear life safety issue, so everyone's aware.
Are there other questions of staff on what was presented? No. Okay. Okay, at this time, then we'll open it up for a public hearing. And our first card to be presented, please.
David Brady.
All right. If you would mind coming up, sir, and giving us your name and address for the record, please, sir. Welcome.
Good evening, guys. I'm David Brady. I live at 115 North Daleon. We started renting a house in 2013. We bought it 2 years ago, paid it off 3 weeks ago. I'm redoing a bunch of stuff at the house, investing a lot of money in my property. I got pictures from day one. It looks like crap out there. Right now it's beautiful. We're very proud of our house, how it looks. I took very good care of the front yard, did a lot of work. We had above ground pool. We took it down. I'm in effect of getting the in-ground pool put in now. The permit should be here and going over right now. I got the where the pool's going to lay, everything else. Basically, what I have is the fence is old. It is down, but it's not down too far. The house is built in 1957, which the property, I got pictures of my front yard. I got when we first moved in, we had a concrete wall going down from house to house. I ripped that out, leveled the ground, redid all. We had huge trees you couldn't even see down the street. There's pictures in my album here for you guys to look at. You couldn't see anything. It totally looked like crap. It was, matter of fact, the trees are going over the road. Any buses, fire trucks could by, it hits. I took care of everything. It looks so beautiful now. We've got landscape, palm trees, everything. And we're getting ready to put an in-ground pool. I think he turned in the paperwork already, so that's going to start. I have a 2-car carport. I'm going to switch over to a 2-car garage. I had an architect come out. We're getting all that laid out. I'm getting ready to spend about $150,000 out of pocket, cash in my hand for this house after the house is paid off for it. Basically, when we're in the house, we're redoing the kitchen too. When we're in the house, looking out our window, this is what you see. It looks like crap. Inside the house, you see everything out there. I do not like that at all. There's no privacy. And yeah, when you're out, it's different from looking outside. We removed the pool, and I want to take pride in my house. Like I said, we moved up from Palm Bay 2013. I can show you pictures. I'd like you to look at my album here. It'll show you where the plans for the carport, the garage, the pool. And basically, at first, I was talking about an 8-foot variance because we saw somebody else had an 8-foot fence. I'm like, no, that's too high. I don't want to go 8. I'd like to go 7 if that's okay. Because 8 is just too much. 7 foot, meet in the middle. I think 7 foot would be perfect. When you're in the house eating dinner, you know, with family, you don't want to see somebody else's backyard. And nobody takes care of their yard except for us. If you drive down North Daleon, I got a tiki mailbox. It's beautiful. There's pictures here how this house looks from before my approach.
But Mr. Brady, let me remind you that I don't think anyone here would doubt the amount of work that you've done on your house. The question becomes
Basically,
whether it's appropriate to have a fence larger than what the code permits. So if you could focus on that.
Like I said, our house height is higher than the yard. Our house was built in 1957. I don't know who did it back then, but where the fence lies, you can see. Remember, I told you about the concrete wall in the very front of the house. If you drive down the road, every house is that high and goes down on the back. So you sit out the street, you can see the fence over here. You can see the fence over here, and it's so far down. I just like to have it up 1 foot. Not, like I said, I wanted 8 foot at first, but then I was like measuring everything. It's like, no, 8 foot is too much. Then it would be, I don't want to look ugly. I want to look everybody on our street or to behind us. Well, like, that's nice. That's a nice looking fence. Like I said, I do not want it to look like crap. I do not want it to be an eyesore for anybody. I just want to be able to sit in my house and eat dinner and not see the house's windows in our backyard. And especially when we have our in-ground pool put in, we're out there, we have the kids. I don't want everybody just seeing everybody on our yard either. So like I said, I would love to see if you guys would approve me for a 1 foot variance, not 2 as I requested. The 7 foot I would like to have a variance for. But like I said, it's just an eyesore when you're sitting in the house looking out, even in the kitchen window, you can see right to the houses behind us in their windows. And nobody takes care of their yards. So I'll leave it at that. I just would love you guys to grant me that because I'm trying to fix my house up to be a better one. Any other questions?
So you're saying that the house is built up and
Yes.
the lot is down low?
Yes, yeah, it is. Like you were talking about is at least a foot higher. Like I said, I agree with him a foot higher. That's why I'm saying no 8 foot. 7 foot's fine with me. Like you said, you can see the house is on the east side of me, and then you see the fence go down a little bit. And the slack from the old fence, every piece of my fence is old.
Yeah.
So, like you said, even the side fences are way higher than, well, they're still 6 foot. The one in the back, maybe about 5'6", no more than 4 inches slag. So, like I said, I just really would like to have 7 foot in my yard. In the backyard and the very side. The front 6 foot, sides 6 foot, and front 6 foot.
Oh, wait a minute. Just the sides would be 6 foot. You're
Yeah.
just looking for the back to be 7 foot?
Like the side, at least over, at least half of it's going to be 6 foot, and then where the ground tapers, I want to have it. So if you're looking at the front yard, you see 6 foot fence, I want it level.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want it. I do not want it to jump up, look like an eyesore. No.
Okay.
So I want it to look wonderful. It's our oasis. It's not a perfect neighborhood, but it's cleaned up a lot since we moved in. And like you said, we did a lot to our house already, and I'm doing a lot more.
Okay. All right. Other questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have a question. Have you thought about putting some landscape back there for privacy?
We do. We have palm trees and stuff like that, but I don't want it overgrown. And I want it to look better. There's we do have palm trees in the back, but it's not going to be every inch. Our yard is not like a quarter acre. It's not huge. I don't want to have big trees. Plus, we got 2 dogs, and I don't want to have the whole yard just like vines, and then that look like an eyesore. I want it to look like that fence. That's the fence I'm looking for. I don't want horizontal, ugly, everybody's privacy fence. I want it this way and look real nice. I want to put a lot of effort into this house and a lot of money. I want to take pride in I take pride in everything I have. You're welcome.
In looking at your display, your house is on either side, but to the rear, what is to the rear of your house?
We got 2 houses back. Everybody has. There's a big house here. That's a picture you see. The windows here. There's on the side. There's a house directly behind me.
Okay, there's a house behind you.
And you see the house here too.
Okay. All right. Other questions of this witness? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Do we have other cards for this?
No, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. First time ever.
All right. Seeing how there are no other cards, we'll close the public discussion at this time. Are there any more questions? Bring it back to us. Is there any other questions of staff on this matter? All right, staff, as he mentioned, starting at 6 in the front and just keeping it at a level. Otherwise, if he did 6, he would have to slope the fence down, or it would look sloped down because of the property. Is that correct from your y'all standpoint, seeing it?
Correct. From the side, if he does go at that same height, the 6 feet, it will taper down.
It'll taper down. Okay.
Only on the side?
No, and the tapers from the side to the back. It's 6 feet
Right.
on the side when he starts out. I'm looking at page 24.
And my understanding from staff's initial comments was the 1 foot height difference was standing atop the gravel hill.
The
and
top
not,
of the hill.
not
Correct.
the natural ground.
The top of the hill up against the rear of the home.
which is right next to that pool picture I think we saw. All right. Any other questions of staff? Yes, sir. Or discussion between?
Just in regrading the lot for the purpose of installing a pool, there's an opportunity to adjust the height of the deck around the pool so that you do actually sit down a little bit lower than where it sits now. So the entire backyard is going to be bulldozed. If you're putting an in-ground pool there, there's opportunity to do all kinds of shaping of the lot to make it to do what you want to do.
Looking out the window, it's not. When you're in the house, you'll see it.
Okay, let me.
We're not able to hear your discussion because you're not on the mic, and we've closed public discussion, sir. Okay.
I acknowledge your comment. I understand that. It's characteristic of the neighborhood. So that's something that when you buy a house, you buy the characteristics of that neighborhood. You buy the site development grading, meaning there's a swale that's developed between the backs of those houses where water is supposed to drain. Excuse me, where water is supposed to drain. It's just part of the development. Additionally, I'm not aware of any residential properties within the city of Titusville that have been granted a variance in excess of the 6 foot. If you are, please let us know, but I'm not, and I do have some significant history.
I would like to further point out that unfortunately, part of the cost of doing business when purchasing a home in a neighborhood is that you are not afforded the same privacy you get when you buy an acre of land in the middle of the woods. And I agree that these are the characteristics of the neighborhood, and there's nothing peculiar to this particular land that would not be evident on the surrounding properties. Additionally, if the primary testimony from the applicant is this is meant for the privacy purpose, looking at all of those photos, you can't see into the other person's backyard. You can see the tops of their windows, which is expected when you move into a neighborhood and you have neighbors. So it does not appear that granting this variance meets the intent of the code.
Is there further discussion?
Just in other words, you're indicating that you see no hardship there.
Correct.
Okay, I agree.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a motion, please, if we're through with discussion. Okay.
I move to deny variance 12-2010 115 North Daleon Avenue regarding a variance for a higher fence on the basis that there are no special conditions and circumstances peculiar to this particular land in light of the neighborhood, and that there is no hardship.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
We've had a motion and we've had a second. May we have roll call, please?
Chairman Taylor,
Yeah, I vote yes for the denial. Yes.
Member Smith Rodriguez,
Yes.
Member Van Deven,
Yes.
Member Wheelis,
Yes.
Alternate Member Van Dijon.
Yes.
All right. All right, sir. Unfortunately, your request is denied. So, all right. Thank you for coming before us. Okay, moving on to our next variance 13-2021, which concerns 1410 Main Avenue. Staff, would you enlighten us, please?
So this item begins on page 40 at the agenda. I'll let you guys take a second to get there. So the applicant is requesting a variance to section 28-392A to allow variance to exceed the maximum 600 square feet allotted for the total floor area of all detached accessory structures on lots larger than 1 acre on property located in the Office Professional Zoning District at 1410 Main Street. Specifically, the applicant is requesting a total square feet of all accessory structures to be 1,360 feet as opposed to the 600 square feet. I meant 1,360 square feet. Sorry. The surrounding zoning districts to the north, south, and west, Office Professional OP, and to the east, the Urban Mixed Use Zoning District. The property meets the minimum 100-foot lot width and size requirements in the OP zoning district. The lot size is 45,738 square feet and rectangular in shape with 160 linear feet of frontage on Main Street. 160 feet on Blanton Street, and 314 feet along South Park Avenue. The property is currently a residential lot, a detached single-family home with detached accessory structures, including the accessory dwelling unit, are on the property. And the detached single-family home is a permitted use in the office professional zoning district. I've already gone over the criteria, so I'll go ahead and skip to the analysis. It should be on page 42. So the applicant is requesting a variance to allow more than the maximum 600 square feet for a detached accessory structures in the OP zoning district. Per section 28-392, the total floor area of all detached accessory buildings shall not exceed 600 square feet on lots larger than 1 acre. The property measures 1.05 acres. There are 3 detached accessory structures on the property with a cumulative 1,360 square feet, 760 square feet above the maximum 600 square feet permitted. The property does include a detached accessory dwelling unit that consists of 460 square feet. The applicant stated that that they were unaware of the code requirement. The applicant did construct a 20 by 15 and 30 by 20 feet pole barns on the property for purposes of an outdoor storage shed and a shed to protect dogs on the property from weather without the benefit of a permit. The 600 square foot pole barn does include a portion that is enclosed and measures 105 square feet of the total structure. The structure is supported by metal beams to support the metal roof that covers the total structure. The 300 square foot pole barn is not enclosed and uses wood beams to support the metal roof. Both structures are erected on a concrete slab. The principal structure on the property measures 1,200 square feet. According to county records, the home was constructed in 1922 and was developed as part of the Park Addition plat in 1913. The property does not include a garage, and the accessory dwelling unit structure existed on the property prior to the applicant's ownership of the lot. So staff recommends denial of the request to exceed the maximum 600 square feet. There are no special conditions and circumstances which are peculiar to the land. The lot meets the development standards of the zoning district, and special conditions and circumstances do result from the actions of the applicant, as the 2 accessory structures were put on the property by the applicant without the permit. So I just want to point out to you guys on page, what page is this? Page 47. Those are essentially the plans for the 2 structures, one 20 by 15. 20 by 30, and the other 15 by 20 feet. If we move ahead to page 55, we have some photos from the site itself. So that's the structure that has the portion, obviously, that is enclosed, with the metal roof atop being supported by the beams. Further down on page 56 is the open structure that is supported by the metal beams with the metal roof. So that portion is the portion that measures 300 square feet, and the one above it that I showed you first is the 600 square feet. And that third image is the existing accessory dwelling that is on the property. And that concludes my presentation. I may be able to answer any questions you have.
How long has the applicant owned this property?
Come again?
Do you know how long the applicant has owned the property?
No, I do not. I can quickly look, though. Give me a chance.
That's one of our... Here's warranty deed. Okay, just last year. Okay. So all these structures were built without... So how did the city become aware of it? They just find the properties, or find he was non-conforming or what? Or just, I mean, he didn't get a permit to build them, so.
The original variance came about, I want to say, and the applicant can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe a code enforcement, which brought up the original issue, so they had to go before the board, obviously, to get this variance.
Okay. All right. Any other questions of staff? Yes, sir.
The habitable structure, the accessory dwelling unit, was it built with a permit?
We cannot find any record of it, of any permit for it.
And I don't see a good representation of the distance between it and the main residential structure.
Right.
Do you have any idea what that is?
No, it is detached, obviously. It's not more than 5 feet, if that, 6 feet. And of course, when time permits, the applicant can correct me if I'm wrong.
Are there any other questions of staff? All right, seeing none, we'll open the item for public hearing. First card, please.
Christopher Davis.
Okay.
She has a card as well.
Okay, if y'all would like to come up together, yes. Welcome, and please give your names and addresses for the record, please.
Zephyr Davis, 1410 Main Street.
Chris Davis, 1410 Main Street.
So we built these accessory buildings, and we were under the impression they were considered pole barns, and we weren't informed that we needed a permit. So now we're in the process of kind of backing into this the opposite way as we should have. We've submitted all the paperwork to get our permit and to get the inspections and do everything correctly, which is then when we were notified of the square foot, the variance required. The accessory building that was existing when we purchased the building, we were under the impression and still believe that that should be considered part of the main dwelling, being as though it's got plumbing, a bathroom. It was rented out, from our understanding from the previous owner, as an Airbnb. Both structures were. And so the accessory buildings that we installed total up to 600 square feet. The pole barn is 20 by 15, so that's 300 square feet. And then the shed, which we have no outdoor storage. We have no place to store a lawnmower, a weed eater, anything. You know, we have nothing to store essentially any kind of our lawn equipment. So that's 7 by 15, that's closed in. Then we extended that an additional 13 feet by 15 that's covered, so we could park our camper underneath there. And then the rest is just open. So essentially, if by chance we were to consider that existing structure that was there when we purchased the property as part of the main dwelling, we would be within our accessory building square footage allowance.
Well, we did not build that. The cottage, the house came with the cottage.
Right,
That's
right.
the accessory building.
That was already
It's about
existing.
6 feet away from the actual house.
Right.
I'm not doing my math in my head here, but if I take the word at staff, the 20 by 15 and the 30 by 20 would be 600 plus 300.
Right, but the 30 by 20 is not completely covered.
Is it all on a concrete slab?
It is.
It's covered but not enclosed?
There's a 7 by 15 section, so that's 105 square feet, closed in, covered. There's a 13 by 15 section covered, not enclosed.
Okay.
And then a section that's open. So you
just a
can't,
concrete.
just a yeah. Can I show you this?
I see.
Open, not covered, but not closed in, and then open.
Okay, I got it. Thank you for that.
you don't mind, the existing accessory dwelling unit, how close is it to the main house?
We don't have exact measurements, but
About 6 feet.
I would say about 6 feet.
Okay. And have you sat down with the building department to work through these issues?
As far as the existing structure?
As far as any of it, as far as your designs?
Yes, we're working with the building
And
department.
Planning is one department, but the building department can tell you some things about structural aspects of buildings.
Right.
And I see a very clear opportunity to attach the two buildings together structurally, and it becomes one building. At that point, both buildings together can be combined and considered as the main structure.
Right.
And then the calculations would be based on that.
Okay.
But it has to be a structural attachment. Your trusses have to run probably perpendicular to the way the trusses are in the house and in the accessory structure. So
I believe he stated that it would have to be closed in, so essentially a breezeway to connect
enclosed, yes.
to connect the two buildings,
That's
which
what
would be kind of awkward-ish. If we were to do that, what we probably would need to do is kind of. Do you guys have a copy of the Formboard Survey? It kind of shows. I'm sorry. So.
Awesome.
So essentially, this is the main dwelling, and then this is that accessory. So we would have to, this roofed area, it's like a carport, it's not in good condition. So this is something we would eventually have to remove.
That's a standing seam metal roof over
Right.
that deck area. I'm looking at the picture here.
Yeah, so then we would have to, as you come out of the house here, we would have to connect this.
Right.
Because here's an entry and then here's an entry. So it's kind of awkward how we would have to connect it. As a worst case scenario, to not have to tear down anything, that would essentially have to be the way that we would go. But it just would be it would be awkward. It would be very awkward. Doable, but awkward.
A hard roof screen enclosure would also serve the same purpose, very likely.
Would it?
I don't want to answer that, and that'd be a different scenario because that's more so a building
if it's as simple as a
question.
screened enclosure, that's not as awkward, obviously. So
That's just down to.
I don't know if we want to get clarification on that.
You made the statement that you weren't, who gave you the information that a pole barn didn't require a permit?
Friends, not the proper people to ask.
Okay.
Yes. And so now we're in the process of essentially asking for forgiveness and trying to. We've gotten a stamped set of plans for the structures that we've installed. We have to get through this process first before we can go through the building department. All of our information has been submitted to the building department. They're just unable to move forward until we do this process first.
And we know code enforcement was called on us from someone hearing the work going on.
Right.
Just wanted to know what was going on, or being nosy or something. But we've only been there a year. We closed March 11th, right before the country shut down. So we had a bunch of time to. The property was totally wooded. We cleared it out. We did a bunch of stuff, clearing it out.
May I ask, while these folks are still here, because I might need to go back to them, can I ask staff a question, though? If the applicants are able to make their accessory structure, the primary accessory structure pre-existing, part of their main structure, with the other structures that they built, albeit improperly, will that still be affected by the amount of coverage of the land? Do you know? I mean, one variance for another is what I'm asking, really.
Right. So if they're able to connect the accessory dwelling with the principal home, then that would bring and I'm not a mathematician, that would bring whatever the square footage to meet the principal structure, and then they'll have that 600 square feet that is allowable to work with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, they're not covering 99% of their acre, so they're not
Correct.
going to have an issue there.
Correct.
So it would not be expected at this point that all these structures together, properly permitted or variance, still would meet the code of coverage of the land.
Correct.
Yeah, this is zoned OP, office professional, right? So if this were zoned residential, would this even be coming before us, really?
No, there is you have more square footage to work with.
Yeah, it's just because it's OP
Quite frankly,
zoning, yeah.
I want to just stop the bleeding here. Ignorance of the code is no excuse, period.
Right.
If you are here today to request a variance, that variance may very well be denied, and then your back might be against the wall, right? And you might have to go through this other process of connecting and doing whatever else, and maybe you don't need a variance. So perhaps a better solution would be to table this right now, go through your other process, and then you can come back next month or 2 months, whatever the notice requirements are, if it is still needed, rather than risk a denial or restrictions on what you're trying to accomplish.
So essentially, we need a research on connecting the two the dwellings.
I'm just saying the suggestions from Mr. Wheelis sound promising.
Right.
And I'm telling you, ignorance of the law is no excuse.
100%.
So
Yeah, that we're not. That's
if you
not what we're
consider
expecting.
both of those positions,
Right.
There might be a different solution that doesn't prevent you from going forward, but rather considering this next month or in 2 months.
Okay.
Now, what about the fact that the CO and the residential, if it was residential, it wouldn't even be before us?
That's a discussion you'll have to ask
Okay.
Right.
the planning department and building department, what you do for that. That was a question I had about
Right.
how
So
the
is-
property
So
was
the problem
being used.
The problem that we have is that we are bound by looking at what the code is and whether there is some sort of criteria that justifies violating the code in your favor. And the discussions I hear say that there might be a least restrictive means of accomplishing your goals rather than getting a variance. And our job is to not grant a variance if there are other options in doing
Right.
so.
Sounds good.
So we can't give you the legal advice on it. We can't give you the building advice on it. We can
Right.
kind of discuss some ideas, but then you'll have to go talk to the qualified people at the city to
Right.
do what you got to do.
Now, we do have lights strung from one dwelling to the other
No.
one. That's not considered
So we would like to request tabling it then,
Yes.
and so we can get more information and then present
Right.
later.
Do we just stop at this point, or do we have other people signed up to speak on this matter?
No, sir.
All right, there's no other public discussion on it then. All right, we've had a request to table this. We need to assign a time period. Would 1 month, or you want to go 2 months just to be sure?
I would prefer 2 months,
All right.
if
So
possible.
we have a specific time period for, no, it'd be,
September,
No,
October.
we have,
I have a not very good connection. I would recommend that if it's 2 months,
yes.
then the applicant may have to pay for re-advertising.
That's fine.
They
But
said-
also the 2 months would be the combination of the November and December meeting,
Right, it would be in the,
because we don't,
Early
because it
part of
falls during
December.
Christmas and Thanksgiving week. So we usually combine them to like this first or second week of December. We'd have to look at the calendar.
yeah. So it'll be in December, 1st of December time frame instead of the end of the month.
Okay.
And I've heard you say that you are agreeable for that period of time for the advertising to be redone, if it
Yes.
has to be done, if not, all right.
Yes.
All right, so we've had a request to table it for a minimum of 2 months.
Does it still require a motion?
Yes, please give us a motion.
I know she said her connection wasn't so bad. To the extent that a motion is required, I will move to table variance 13-2021 at 1410 Main Street until the combined November-December 2021 meeting, per the applicant's request.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All right, we have a second. Roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Smith Rodriguez.
Yes.
Member Van Deven.
Yes.
Member Wheelis.
Yes.
Chairman Taylor,
Yes.
Alternate Member Van Zyl-Dijon.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, so y'all have
Get
your
more
work cut
information.
out for you
Okay.
and things to
Thank you
do.
very much.
Are we done? Can we leave?
You're-
Okay. Thank you.
This item is done, yes. Thank you. Okay. Glasses. What's our next thing? What number are we up to? 58? Oh, Dickens, okay. All right. Next item on there is variance 14 dash 2021 at 4465 Dickens Avenue. Was this the one that was?
So originally, well, not originally, the applicant did request for it to be tabled, but they're deciding to go forward tonight.
Oh, they're going forward now.
Correct.
Oh, okay. That's where the confusion lay. Did get another email, huh?
Correct.
All right, so we'll open this up. So staff, would you give us background on this one, please, sir?
All right. So this item begins on page 60. Would you guys take a second?
Okay.
So the applicant is requesting a variance to section 28-304C to allow less than the required 10 feet for an interior side yard setback and less than the required 25 feet for a rear yard setback for a room addition at property located in the single-family medium-density zoning district located at 4465 Dickens Avenue. The surrounding zoning districts to the north, south, east, and west are single-family medium-density, R1B. And the property does meet the minimum 75-foot lot width and size requirement. The lot size is 8,276 square feet in size and rectangular in shape with 75 linear feet of frontage on Dickens Avenue. I've already went over the criteria, so I'll go ahead to the analysis. The applicant is requesting a variance of 2.5 feet for the interior side yard and side yard setback and 9 feet for the rear yard setback for purposes of approving a permit to allow the footprint of an existing room addition. According to the applicant, the existing room addition was made by a previous owner and was not permitted by the city. The applicant stated that they were unaware of the lack of a permit at the time of the purchase, and upon attempting to make repairs on the roof, they were notified that a portion of the home encroached into the side and rear yard setbacks. The home was constructed in 1959 prior to the 1993 administrative rezoning. So the sidewall of the originally built home encroaches into the interior yard and is considered a non-conforming encroachment. So the unpermitted addition, it further encroaches into the side yard, setback 2.5 feet, leaving a remaining side yard setback of 5 feet. The unpermitted addition also encroaches 9 feet into the required 25-foot rear yard setback, leaving a rear yard setback of 16 feet. In addition to the encroachments, there are other encroachments on the setbacks that were constructed on the property. Based on a site visit by staff on September 16, 2021, it appears that the applicant did rectify those issues by removing them. The remaining side and rear yard setback encroachments for the existing room addition are the variances before you guys today. The applicant stated that they only wish to bring the home into conformance and are requesting the variance as removing the portion of the home would be a costly project. The addition to the home measures 133 total square feet and is used as an office and exercise space. According to county records, the home was constructed in 1959 and developed as part of the Whispering Lakes Plat in 1959. There are no records to indicate when the unpermitted addition was made. The building official was able to acknowledge that the addition was made following the original construction of the home. The applicant stated that their request is the minimum necessary as the other encroachments on the lot have been removed. So staff does recommend denial of the request to allow the variance of 2.5 feet on the interior side yard setback and 9 feet for the rear yard setback. There are no special conditions and circumstances that exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building that are applicable to other lands. The property meets the size requirements in the R1B zoning district. And if the board is inclined to approve the request, the request should be approved with conditions that have been stipulated in an email from the building official. So moving ahead on page 63, the building official did present some conditions that, the applicant should abide by if they were granted that variance. Essentially making sure that all the other the repairs, the roof additions, the electrical, all that be in compliance per the building code. Moving along to page give me 1 second. So moving to page, what page is this? 80. 80. 80. So that is the original variance that was submitted to us. The reds are essentially the other encroachments that were on the property. When this application was submitted, there were multiple encroachments. And since then, if you may move to page 81, the applicant has rectified those encroachments. I believe it was a carport, a pool, an in-ground pool rather, and the back porch. So the remaining variance in question is this room addition. Right above that, page 79, there are some pictures, although they came out a bit wacky. You're able to see the side yard for the home. And the rear yard for the home. Although, like I said, it's a bit wacky. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure how that came out like that. But yeah, so that concludes my presentation.
All right, so from y'all's observation going there, this possibly was all done way before 93, even when the code changed?
What was?
This addition to the house, or this part. I understand about the little sheds and the pool that could have been done at any time, but I know we've had in the past, because code changed, and I don't know what the code was when this house was built.
Right, so we have no records to indicate when the room addition was made.
Right.
So whether or not it was made before the 1993 administrative, we have no records to confirm that for the room addition itself. We know when the original home was constructed, but as far as the room addition, we have no records to indicate when it was constructed. But we do know it was constructed following the original construction of the home.
Okay. So on page 80, where I'm seeing the striped lines, is that showing the principal structure in violation?
Correct.
Okay. Hmm? Yeah, those have been gone. It's just, this is the only part that's connected to the house. Yeah. So there's no way to make that eliminate without tearing the house down, but practically.
When we look at page 81, the areas indicated are the areas specifically that need variances. That's the only things we're addressing right now. Is that correct?
So yeah, like I said, the original is page 80 that had all the encroachments, the carport, the pool structure, and page 81 is the red portion, is the variance in question tonight is the only remaining encroachment.
So they've made tremendous strides to trying to come into compliance.
Correct.
And the permit that they asked for is just for not an addition to the house, but just to, well, like say the roof, as I understand it, it needed repairs.
You're talking about the very original permit?
Yeah,
Correct.
That's when you found the problems.
Yes.
So this pink area is not, it's not an addition. It is just already existing. It just needs repair around it. And then we had that email that showed bringing up to electrical code, et cetera.
No,
et cetera.
so that email's for the entire home itself.
Oh.
So electrical, roof, all that's for the home. I don't know specifically where on the home, but that's not solely for that room addition.
Oh, okay. It's for the entire house. Oh, okay.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I misunderstood. Thank you. Other questions of staff? Okay. Thank you, staff. At this time, we'll open a public discussion. Do we have a card, please?
Pete Crosby.
All right, sir. Welcome. And your name and address for the record, please.
Pete Crosby, 542 Marion Court, and I have some evidence for you guys.
Thank you.
All right, so I do want to start out by apologizing if the motion to table to next week caused any inconvenience. We did have a witness that we wanted to have today, and we were concerned about the 5 board members not being here. That might be just down to 4. So seeing that there was 5 and we have an alternative wait for our witness, we proceeded to want to go ahead and proceed. So I'm going to read, not the best speaker and memory person in the world, so I'm just going to read from here. And if you guys could just follow the timeline with me, I'd appreciate it. I do want to thank you for your time tonight. And this is an account of how a neighbor's code enforcement complaint of trash in a front yard resulted in a family being forced to leave their home within 24 hours. To provide perspective and context, the details relevant to this request are provided with the following timeline. So I'll go through this as fast as possible for you guys. September 2012, my in-laws purchased an owner-financed home located at 4465 Dickens Avenue, Titusville, as it stands today. August 17th, my father-in-law, with failing health, prompted to sign the house over to myself and my wife to help them better manage the property. Sadly, my father-in-law passed away 2 years after that. December 2020, the city of Titusville approved a permit for a residential re-roof of the entire property as it currently stands today. We withdraw a big chunk of money of our life savings to fix a really bad, damaged, leaky roof. And in March 2021, as you can see on the first page of the packet, the old roof caused tremendous water damage, which resulted in black mold on the drywall, kitchen, everything was just black mold everywhere. So we began a renovation process to get all of that out of the house for the safety of the family. April 16th, 2021, code enforcement noticed this cleanup effort and came to the door. They then requested entry into the home. My mother-in-law, wanting to do what is right and trusting the city, granted access. April 29th, 2021, code enforcement visited again, this time requesting access to inspect the electrical panel. Upon entering the house, they looked around and noticed the cleanup effort and involved the city building official. The house was deemed uninhabitable due to electrical, structural issues, and was in the process of being fixed, and the observation of alleged unpermitted additions to the home. The family was forced to vacate their house within 24 hours during a global pandemic. May 3rd, 2021, city building official Steve Adams advised that he would only approve an owner-builder permit if property survey of the entire house was first submitted, so all unpermitted work could be identified and corrected. All cleanup efforts stopped at that time. The property survey was submitted as requested. This is May 5th, 2021. Property survey was submitted as requested. The city determined that there were 5 areas that needed correcting. May 26th, 2021, we were granted the homeowner permit and an email from Steve Adams regarding removing unpermitted work from the vacate order. So we were asking, what can we do to get this, the building stuff in line? And he said, we had a phone call with him, in the email he said, as we have discussed, there appear to be numerous nonconformities on the property. Anything beyond removing the nonconformities must be administered by the special magistrate, not the variance hearing. And this was, remember, our family is out of the home right now. They can't go in. And this is to get them back in the house. June 14th, 2021, my wife and I met with Steve Adams, as well as Brad Parrish and Mark Jones from the planning department. We reviewed the nonconformities and asked for leniency. We were told that it was not their decision. We asked about the variance process, and we were advised that we would not get it. And the next best course of action was to either fix the nonconformities by a certain date and be fined $250 a day for each nonconformity not fixed by that date, or seek legal action against the city. And a final recommendation was to think about selling the house since it's a seller's market right now. July 29th, 2021, we applied for a variance for the 5 nonconformities, but at the request of the city staff, we updated the variance to be in compliant with the variance request to request only the minimum, and then we proceeded to work on the other 4 nonconformities. September 2021, as staff mentioned, all the other nonconformities have been taken care of. The only one that stands is the moving of the walls. Let me see where I lose myself at. So that's the only one remaining. And this is a burden to us as it's not something that's easy to fix, and that's what brings us here today. Because this is listed on the vacate order, my family cannot return home until this is resolved, either by variance or by destroying these walls and rebuilding them and moving them a few feet. The city is asking us to move these walls that have been standing earlier than 1999, over 29 years ago. We are forced to move these walls because they are encroaching in a setback that was put in place after the fact in 1993. So you can see there's visuals on the next page that show how moving these walls will make these rooms just ridiculous. They won't be able to be used. They're unusable because it's a weird elongated room. So in addition, it is estimated that it would cost approximately $30,000, and because of COVID-19 and low interest rates, there is a wait time of approximately 4 to 6 months to hire a contractor to complete this type of work. Meanwhile, the city has threatened we could be fined $250 a day if we do not comply. Now, we realize we made a mistake by not contacting the city before we started work on the house, but we've been working, as you can see earlier, we've been working diligently with the city ever since to resolve all these issues that are physically and financially possible. So, number one, the structural issues have been corrected. So there was a beam. We fixed this beam completely. Now we're just waiting for inspection on it. We've had multiple meetings with the city. They've been great to work with on how to go about fixing the electrical to their standards. And number three, the other nonconformities have been taken care of already. So with the exception of moving the walls, we are on target to have all issues in the house resolved and ready for family to move back by the end of October. This is where we come to you for help, for leniency, and for mercy. We're asking that everything under the new roof be exempt from setback codes and that were put in place in 1993, as the walls in question have been in place prior to that time. The variance is only for portions of the house that have been in existence for over 29 years. There's no request to build anything new. This was not something that we put on ourselves. These walls have been over 29 years old, and we have a sworn affidavit from a neighbor who has given a tour of the house in 1992 when she moved there, which predates the city code of ordinance that did not come out until 1993. By granting this variance, we are not gaining any advantages over neighbors. In fact, you can see on the next page of the packet, we have received a petition from many of our neighbors in support of granting this variance. Now, on a side note, I really do appreciate the fact that prior to this meeting, everybody stands and pledges allegiance to the flag. The last line of the Pledge of Allegiance is very relevant to this variance that we are requesting, with liberty and justice for all. If we look at liberty, and defined by the Oxford Dictionary, it's the state of being free within society from oppressive restriction imposed by authority in one's way of life, behavior, or political views. And justice, from the Oxford Dictionary, is defined as just behavior or treatment. And I asked the members, is it just for a city to refuse a family the right to come home during a global pandemic because of a line that was drawn in the sand after an event happened? And in closing, I ask that all of the following be considered in your ruling today. The setback line was put in place after the additions were made. The city entered the house under false pretenses. They never set any type of expectations that they would be looking for anything other than the electrical work. And we trusted them, and they forced the residents to become homeless. The city permitted a roof that covered the walls that are in question, Had they advised us of these nonconformities prior to this, we've been able to possibly taken other actions before we spent our hard-earned money on repairing the roof. Number 4, there is a statute of limitations to address deeds committed in the past. The Florida Statutes of 95.11 states that within 4 years, an action founded on the design, planning, or construction of improvement to real property will be taken within 4 years. It's been almost 30 years that these walls have been here that we know of, possibly even longer. And they stand there today, strong as ever. There are violent crimes that a person cannot be prosecuted for that are under 30 years. Most are under 10 years. We are gaining no advantage to other neighbors by having this granted. And the last consideration point, and probably most important, I ask that you please put yourself in my family's shoes. You get a call from a dearly loved relative, and they say the city is making me leave my house during a global pandemic. I'm sick with physical pains, mental distress, and they are advising that I cannot go home until I move walls of a house that has stood for almost 3 decades. And can you please help me? So make no doubt about it today, members of the board, this decision you make here today will impact lives. Can you please help us make the decision that provides liberty and is just? I thank you for your time.
In looking at these photos that you have supplied, seeing the black mold, I'm sorry, I don't consider that a habitable house. I would not allow anyone to live in a house under that condition. Mm-hmm. If that was the condition when they asked you to leave, is that correct?
No, the reason why they asked us to leave, that's actually been taken out already. That was before they came. The reason why they asked us to leave was there was electrical issues. There was wires not connected to the electrical box.
Yes.
So they were pulled out. And then, so they also had another electrical issue. And then there was also a beam that was being fixed. A beam rotted, and we were in the process of fixing that beam.
Okay.
And then also they alleged these areas, they saw these as unpermitted work. So those are the 3 things that they said had to be fixed for us to get back into the house.
Okay. All right. All right, so you have taken care of 4 of the 5 items on the list.
Yes, sir.
And we're down to the main structure itself.
Yes, sir.
And you're asking to, because of the timeline.
And you
Yes, sir.
have obtained permits for the repairs that are being done, the electrical work, the structural repairs. You have cabinetry, plumbing also that has to be repaired.
Yes, sir. I have that. We got that on May 26, 2021, and we've been working diligently to get that up and running.
Okay. And Mr. Adams has been in touch with you directly to move you in the right direction for compliance with the building code and the electrical code, plumbing code.
Not Mr. Adams per se. We've had inspectors come out. So inspectors have come out and helped us. Now, Mr. Adams has actually just 4 days prior to this variance added in an additional stipulation, which staff read. He never informed us of any bringing other additions of the house into it. Back when we first got this, it was these 3 things. My family was kicked out for those 3 things. And then he's like, you've got to move the walls of the house. And when we started applying for the variance, now 4 days before the variance hearing, he's added this additional thing saying that the whole house has to come into compliance. And I just don't know where that even came from.
Sir, have you seen a copy of the email dated September 14, 2021 from Mr. Adams?
I saw it. My wife got it 4 days before this variance hearing about that.
But you have a copy of it?
Yes. You have a copy of it? Yes.
Yes, you may.
Yeah, the first time we saw it.
Hold on a second. Did you fill out a card?
Yes. The first time we saw it was. First time we saw it was when the board agenda went out.
Okay. Just take a second. If you haven't already read those conditions that were listed there, which seem to be limited to the unpermitted building improvement, so it sounds like the addition is what it sounds like it's limited to. Do you all have the intent and ability to comply with those 6 stipulations in that email?
Yes.
So 63.
Well, the concern about that email I have is if you look at the last 2 pages of the packet we handed out, there's an email that was sent to us on May 5th And it said what we needed to do was the city was reviewing the survey, identify nonconformities, request variance to bring the property into compliance with zoning regulations. So at the time, that's all that we thought we had to do to make that addition compliant. So that September 14th email seems.
I understand your frustration, your dispute, but I renew my question. Looking at the list of 1 through 6, and you can take a second to read through it now. Is there anything on that list that you simply cannot, you're not able to, you will not comply with? I'm trying to get a general idea here.
I'm not a construction worker, so I don't know how complicated those are, but from what it looked like, from what I can remember, it was strengthening the wall to 2021 codes. So to me, that sounds like it's removing a whole wall. I don't know what that means.
Do you have a copy of your vacate order?
Yes,
I do. Yeah.
Can I see that, please? Thank you. You all may continue if you have other questions. I'm going to take a quick second.
Just a heads up, when you obtained your building permit for the repairs, you agreed to comply with the building code.
Correct.
By receiving that permit and signing your name on it, you agreed to comply with the current building codes as it applies to your unpermitted work. So the things that are in this email that members Rodriguez-Smith was referring to, they're typical. We're talking about just application of the law. That applies to everyone who obtains a permit from the city of Titusville for building construction. So you're agreeing to comply. It's not something that's always understood by everyone,
right.
but it is something that is applied evenly.
I think
so you understand that no one's pointing the finger at you. They're just saying, this is the law, this is what we have to comply with, and this is how you can go about obtaining compliance. There certainly is a argument to be made that a house built 2.5 feet over the setback line is something that's there and it's going to stay there, and no one's going to make you move that. It's an unreasonable request in that manner.
Thank you.
Obtaining a variance so that you're conforming is the right path. So we're headed in the right direction.
Great.
It's going to take a few minutes for us to work through it. But
okay.
I think we'll be all right.
Okay, so if we were to grant the variance, like he said, you agree to do all the structural, I guess, or permitted request that's on this list that we saw, which is boilerplate really for everybody that does construction. It's not just not for you, your unit, not you. No, this is pretty boilerplate, isn't it?
Essentially, the structural aspects are going to require you to possibly put in additional structural members in the walls in some places.
Okay.
Provide strapping, some metal plates to the slab,
and that's
to the trusses.
Definitely doable.
That kind of thing. You may, and it appears that the drywall's off the walls in many places anyway, so you're probably 50% there anyway. It's a matter of adding additional structural elements.
Yeah, actually, all those walls are in place. Those are all good. Yeah. But I do have one concern that when Steve Adams sent that, and staff, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's saying not to update the electrical just in these parts that we're getting variance for, but he's saying, I want to see everything in this 1958 house, 59 house changed. Is that your understanding as well? Not just the variance portion?
Perhaps we're interpreting that September 14 email incorrectly, but he did reference not just the nonconformities identified in the survey, but the entire home. So it seems like the ask is to find all unpermitted work on the home. So that's where I'm unclear if I'm reading the email correctly or not. Does it just concern the areas identified?
Each paragraph of this email starts with all unpermitted building improvements. It's literally the first 4 words of every single paragraph there. So it would appear to me that it's only the addition that was unpermitted.
Okay.
But I would like, well, I can wait for discussion.
Just one thing, we're slightly off our purview because this board cannot address specific building requirements or the orders of the building official. He answers essentially to the Florida Building Commission, which is a state commission. So we can address the variance request for the setbacks.
Okay.
That's where we are.
Sounds good.
All right, do you have anything else to add then?
Anything else?
Or is there any other questions of anyone here of this applicants?
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add is this one has been the source of the most stress for the last 5 months. The structural issue, the electrical issue are going along really well. So this one in particular, it's a big question mark for my family. They're actually here and they're homeless right now. They have nowhere to go. They're all stuffed in a 1-bedroom apartment in Daytona Beach. They've been living on the good graces of friends and family. They've stayed with us. It's very distressing. And this is one step that will help relieve a lot of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other cards to be addressed?
Yes, sir. Mary Jitta.
So, did the family wish to speak too? Okay. Is that all right? Welcome. Your name and address, please.
Mary Jitta, 4465 Dickens Avenue. I do not have a current place of residence. I am homeless. I am the sister of Pete and Natasha Crosby, and on April 30th, I was removed from the house during a global pandemic, and since I have been spending many nights in motel rooms or on air mattresses at friends and family's house, I'm here today to express my concern with how we have been treated by the city. My mother and I have been overall in mental and physical distress over being kicked out of our home for the reasons previously mentioned. In addition to this, I have 2 children, one whom is autistic and who has known anything about autism. One of the key components that's helping them cope is to have a stable and regular home routine. Sadly, for the past 5 months, my poor Julian has been moved around and has no routine and is unable to focus, and he's not doing well. The city says they are doing this for our safety. That was the reason that I was given. But our quality of life has diminished. But I have lived in the house for over 9 years, and I have never been in greater fear than I am right now in the past 5 months. Daily, I'm concerned one of us will catch COVID. I myself have also suffered from anxiety, despair, and being homeless and not being able to protect and provide for my kids the way a mother should. Because we are forced to go from place to place, Julian and Jade can never settle down so that they can focus, behaving, learning, and both have become more and more irritable. Since I do not know where I will be living from week to week, I have not been able to enroll my children in school. I've tried online schools, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. Julian is not able to function normally. One can easily drive around our neighborhood and see other work done, just like what is being discussed today. So why are they coming after us? I would like to know. I do not know why, but this whole situation has really thrown great despair in my family. I stand here before you today pleading with you to please consider my children. They are the most innocent victims of this whole situation. Help me get them back to in their home, as I knew this before all this began. That's all I have to say.
Is there anyone else to speak?
Melissa Coleman.
Welcome.
My name is Melissa Coleman. I just wanted to comment as a witness. Now it's 5575 SR 46 in Mims. But in 96, 97, my family, my mother's here actually, we rented the house that is on the opposite corner of the same street, 4425 Dickens Avenue. And just as a witness, I would like to say, and any of my family members could say, that that property has been that way since then. I'm not sure if before we lived there, but we drove by that property every day. So I know for a fact that this was built before they were there. This is how they purchased the home. For them to be fined a $250 a day fine and being forced to evacuate, I think that's just punishment on them for something that they didn't do. And it would be a great resolve to have them back in their home. This is really unfortunate for them. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other cards?
No, sir.
All right. So at this time, we'll close the public hearing portion and bring it back to staff, or if we have questions of staff. And so I'll just clarify what we're doing here is just looking at, as our member brought out, we're just here for the variance on the walls to the outside of the property. The other parts were up to a different city building department, shall I say. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or discussion amongst? I see no lights. Do I have a motion then on this? Yes, sir. You have. Oh, you like him? Okay.
I was going to make a motion. But
Please.
regarding variance 14/2021 at 4465 Dickens Avenue, I move to approve the variance to grant the variance of 2.5 feet into the side yard and I believe 9 feet into the side yard, if I'm reading it correctly. Rear yard.
Rear yard. Yeah. Yes. All right. We have a motion. We have a second.
If I may,
Oh yeah.
could we amend that to apply to the existing structure?
As I requested earlier, that email. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm referring to additions to the building in addition to what's there now. In other words, these variances would not apply to new construction, additional construction. Beyond.
I take that to be implied, and that's the only variance before us is the existing structure. Okay, I'll rephrase. I'll amend my motion to grant the variance to permit the variance requested 2.5 feet into the side yard and 9 feet into the rear yard based upon the existing non-conforming structure and encroachment.
I would second that motion.
All right. You had any other discussion? Seeing none, may we have roll call, please?
Relis,
Yes.
alternate member Vance DeJohn,
Yes.
Chairman Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith Rodriguez,
Yes.
Member Van Deven.
Yes.
Very good. So this part is yes from us. The rest of it, you go a different department across the hall. Sorry, but staff
I
here
would,
can
and I would
direct
point
you.
out that vacate order specifically references unpermitted structures on the property. And I don't know too much about vacating orders, but as that is a primary statement in that vacating order, I'm a bit appalled. And I strongly hope you all get with the city immediately tomorrow morning to try to remedy that. I wish your family good luck.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Where do I go to the next one? Yep, time to go. That's good. I wish I could say that. All right, which one's the next one? What's? We're up to 85. 85. Okay. All right. So next agenda item is variance number 15-2021, 15 England. Is that it? How you pronounce that? England?
INIG, that one was actually tabled, or
Okay.
the applicant has requested for it to be tabled,
All right. So it
which
has
is
been tabled.
indicated on the agenda.
Was there a Oh, for the next regular scheduled meeting. There it is.
Correct.
All right, let's just read what I have here. Okay. So what's left? Oh, there's another one. Okay. Now we're up to variance number 16-2021 for 440 Indian Oaks Court for a new home. So staff?
All right. So this item begins on page 91. I'll let you guys take a second. The applicant is requesting a variance to section 28-304A to allow less than the required 20-foot side corner setback for a new single-family home at property located in the single-family medium-density zoning district located at 440 Indian Oaks Court. These surrounding zoning districts are to the north, south, east, and west single-family medium-density, R1B. The property is 12,632 square feet, which meets the minimum 7,500 square feet required for a lot in the R1B zoning district. The lot has 61 feet of frontage on Indian Oaks Court. Per section 28-304C, the minimum required lot width in the R1B zoning district is 75 feet. The property is non-conforming lot of record, and the lot is rectangular in shape and adjacent to North Dixie Avenue. The lot is vacant and is proposed. The proposed use is a detached single-family home. Once again, I've already gone over the criteria for reviewing, so I'll skip ahead to the analysis. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow less than the required 20-foot side corner setback for a new single-family home at property located in the single-family medium-density zoning district. The applicant states that the irregular shape of lot, narrowing from the front of the lot to the rear, prevents the development of the proposed home as a result of the 20-foot side corner yard setback requirement. The applicant states that the front portion of the proposed home is able to meet the necessary development standards of the R1B zoning district, but towards the rear of the lot, the proposed home encroaches less than 4 feet into the side corner setback, and this is the variance in question. The proposed home measures 2,311 square feet and meets the minimum lot area requirement of the R1B zoning district, and according to county records, the lot was platted as part of the Indian Oaks subdivision in 1985. The lot is mostly rectangular in shape. The northwest lot line slants and narrows inward as a result of the curvature of North Dixie Avenue. The surrounding lots in the area are similar in size and rectangular in shape and do meet the 75-foot lot width requirement. The lot frontage width at Indian Oaks Court is 61 feet to the point of the lot curvature. The side lot width on North Dixie Avenue is approximately 142 linear feet. The rear width is 69 linear feet, and the entire side lot width is 169 linear feet. There is a section of the code that references non-conforming lots of records. So per section 34-347A3, the Board of Adjustments and Appeals may authorize the issuance of a building permit for a single-family dwelling on a non-conforming lot only after it has been determined that remedies as set forth in this section cannot be complied with, and that the regulations for the district in which the lot is located cannot be met. So staff recommends approval of the request to allow less than required 20-foot side corner setback for the property located in the single-family medium-density zoning district. In granting the variance, special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. As a result of the curvature of North Dixie Avenue, the side lot line slants inward, impacting the required 20-foot side corner setback. In addition, the 61 feet of frontage is less than the 75-foot lot width requirement in the R1B zoning district. Per section 34-347A3, the board may grant variances on lot requirements in cases of hardships, so as not to create any condition detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare. The curvature of North Dixie Avenue and the reduced lot width presents a hardship to the lot. So moving ahead. Thought using a mouse would be quicker. On page, what is that? 102. That is the plat of the Indian Oak subdivision. So we can see that side corner lot has that curvature along North Dixie. And that is based off the way that that it was platted. On page right above that, 101, we see that red line indicates where that side corner setback is located, and that encroachment, you can see, would be less than 5 feet. Further down, we have obviously the development standards that states for the side corner setback, which is the 20 feet. And that concludes my presentation.
Any questions of staff? Yes, sir. Let's see here.
Is there any language in the recorded plat that addresses the non-conforming lot that was formed? This was not 15 years ago. In the last 12 to 15 years, this was done. Did you guys research that to see if there was any way that any non-conformities were addressed at that time? And not non-conformities related to the new construction, but the non-conformity of the lot itself.
Staring at the plat itself, there isn't any language to indicate that, but as far as additional research, there hasn't been any research done by staff.
In approving the variance request, are we approving the non-conforming lot at this time, or was that actually approved by council when they approved the plat?
Can you repeat the question?
My question was, in approving the variance request, are we approving the non-conforming lot itself, or was that done at the time of the approval of the plat?
I would assume because the plat was obviously approved by council, that's when it was approved, and we're just tonight approving that the encroachment into the side corner setback.
Okay, thank you.
But council can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Talking to God.
And do you not believe it's necessary to address the non-conforming lot at this time?
Okay, thank you. I just saw the language in the variance request relating to the non-conforming lot. That's all. Thank you.
Any other questions of staff on anything we see? Seeing none, I'll open it up to public discussion. Do we have any cards?
Don Human?
Yes. Welcome, sir. Name and address for the record. Thank you.
I'm just here to answer any questions. I own the lot. I bought it last year. This is the second piece of property on that street that I'm building a house, hope to build a house on. I just CO'd the first one at the end as of Monday. So, and it's sold within a month. So we really didn't know that the house wouldn't fit until we got to the point of and it's going to be the exact same house. We just flipped the plans, and we were doing the site plan to get ready to go to permitting, and we will be permitting it. Yeah. But we noticed that with the 20-foot setback, it being a corner lot, that just the very back corner of the building is in the 20-foot setback, and it's about 3.5 feet, and it comes up to just midways of the building. The front of the building fits on the property. Mm-hmm. So, but I wanted to be here in case you had any questions.
So this is just like the one that you're
identical.
Permitted. It's just flipping it around. And
Yeah, I'm putting the garage away from the road because there's no windows over here except for a small one, and they are Miami impact. You can't hear through them. So it puts all the bedrooms to the other side away from the road.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Well, yes, sir.
The bump out on the, looks like the bathrooms between the bedrooms on the far side of the house.
Right.
Is that something that actually adds usable square footage to the house?
It's the master bedroom, or the master bathroom.
No, away from the road, between the two bedrooms.
There's a bathroom in between the two bedrooms.
Right, yeah, there's a bump out on the side.
Oh, that's a bathtub.
Takes up a couple of feet.
That's a bathtub. That's on the other side of the house. It's about maybe not even 12 inches, I wouldn't say.
My point, and the reason for my question is, if there's a way to reduce the request for the variance by even a foot or two, it's up to us to see if there's a way to do that.
There's a bathtub in that
area.
Little thing.
All right. Any other questions of this witnesses? Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So we'll close the, and there were no other cards? Oh, there is one other card.
Jeffrey Holton.
Yes, sir.
Board members, my name is Jeff Holton. I reside at 425 Indian Oaks Court, the first house built in Indian Oaks back in 1986. And all this to do about this offset, I was going to build on the first lot across from the lot Mr. Heeman bought at 445, until the city came in and took an extra 10-foot right-of-way inside the county's right-of-way and between the property. That's why those lots are shrunk like they are. And according to that, I was only left with 33 feet of buildable width on the 445 lot. So I'm concerned, you said there was 61 feet of width on that lot? Correct. And the offside setbacks are 10 foot, correct? Well, that's math, that's 41 feet. And how wide's your house?
Oh, I don't know right off. He's got the drawings there.
It's a math issue. And I don't mind him building it at all. But my concern is the lot across the street, 445, should be allowed the same variance for the woman that owns it right next door to it who bought the lot. Wouldn't you agree? And he would probably buy the lot.
The ones, I believe
It's Mabel's lot.
I guess the guy that has the house there has his whole yard fenced in.
Well, yeah, but it's still two separate lots.
Let me interrupt you gentlemen for a second.
It's a difference.
The request before us is a variance on a very specific property for
Right.
a very specific
You're
reason.
right.
We are happy to consider any of the variances that come before us. If you have any other testimony as to your desire, no desire,
Well,
or
the
just commentary,
desire
it's
is,
fine.
he keeps saying 20-foot offset. What are we talking about exactly distance? Because you still have that 10-foot right-of-way coming off Old Dixie inside the county right-of-way, right? The city owns 10 foot of that inside Mabel's fence. And that's been a contention with me for a long time because right-of-way clearance, they haven't touched it in yet that many years. So is it still a 10-foot offset inside that slim corner boundary at the back corner?
Are you talking about the lot itself in
The
question
lot-
tonight?
Well, the lot itself, but also there's the city right-of-way that goes through there, which is 10 feet.
I wouldn't have any information on that off the
Well,
top
that
of
should
my
be
head.
in the plot record. Should be right there on the map, right? Because you've got all the figures. It shows Old Dixie and it shows the outline. I would have brought mine.
Sir, is your question, if I'm understanding your question, is the question really becoming, does the side yard setback
Well, part of the
include the city right-of-way or the
Are,
county
are you
right-of-way?
giving away some of your city right-of-way for him to do this? Exactly.
Well, I'm asking, if that's what you're asking, is whether, because we're deciding how much we can go closer to the setback, and you're concerned about the right-of-way, so the question really
you're
becomes,
talking about
is the right-of-way
you're
in
talking about
setback?
setback, but the setback was presented from the actual boundary of the city's right-of-way,
Right.
which came in 10 feet. That's like I said, that's why there was only 32 feet across the street to build on. So his is a narrower lot. And so these numbers, no?
No, the city right-of-way stops at the property line, and he has the required
Do they give you a dimension,
side
Richard?
yard.
I mean, how far? Because I know it's 10 foot on the northeast side. It's just I've been trying to get this done for 35 years. Though that's a blind turn, and I'm sure you can attest to it too.
I'm going to clean up the bushes.
Well, that's not the only problem. The problem is there's so many cars coming down Old Dixie from that northern or northwest side from like the airport that, I had tried to get them to put a speed bump out there years ago, and they ended up putting one on Mendel Lane that was there for a couple of years, and they finally took it back out. But that's been an ongoing issue, and the buses are the worst. When it's time to get them back to the compound, they fly down that street, and there's no sidewalks with all this extra right of way. Everybody's got up and down the road. There's people. They built a walking park, but they can't walk to it. You live down the street, right?
Excuse me?
You live down Old Dixie, right?
I live in that area.
Yeah, so you understand. They've got the right of ways on both sides to do it, but it's just the fact. Like I said, I really don't care if he puts a house there, but I think the option should be available to the person who owns the lot across the street too.
If they submit a variance, we'll be happy to entertain it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's another variance thing. It's
Listen,
like,
the outcome today.
It's talking about the future.
Sir, the outcome today is related to this particular property.
I understand that.
So we can't give a blanketed variance for the neighborhood.
It's not a neighborhood. It's two lots that were unbuildable until this
my
variance
point.
came along. Yeah. Thanks.
The law will be applied equitably. It will be. Whatever applies to him will apply in the same manner to a similar situation. So, but the dimensions will vary because every lot is a different dimension.
Right,
so you're going to see that.
Like I said, I owned that lot before I had to put it on the other lot. So.
I understand.
All right. Okay, no other cards, right?
No, sir.
All right, so we'll close the hearing to the public and bring it back to the board for discussion or questions of staff. We have their analysis that they said approve. Any other questions? All right. I'll entertain a motion. Somebody else's turn. Come on.
I recommend approval of variance 16-2021, reducing the side corner setback of section 28-304.
We have a motion. Do I have a
I'll
second? You have a second? Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Smith Rodriguez,
Yes.
Member Van Deven,
Yes.
Member Wheelis,
Yes.
Chairman Taylor,
Yes.
Alternate Member Van Zildijon. Yes. Getting better.
You do that about 10 more times, we'll get it right. Let's see. All right. Seeing how I don't, well, unless you have something else you want to say. Nope, no, he says nope. All right, so I don't see any petitions from the public. We have a report here for our semi-annual report. I guess that's what goes to City Council, right? And there was a list of what we had done and what we did not do. Was there any discussion on those matters to turn that over to City Council? I see none. So, staff, anything to enlighten us on?
As of right now, we have, with the tabling, 2 items right now for the October hearing. So
2 items for October.
for right
Very
now.
Good.
So
All right. Anything else? No?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Council, you have anything to share with us? See if she's awake.
I'm here, no, nothing to share this time, thank you. Is there a date for the November, December meeting?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Members, anything to add? Well, I'll say welcome to our newest member, our alternate member. Appreciate it. I guess just ask questions. You lived here in Titusville long?
No.
Turn on your mic. Yeah.
No, my wife and I moved from Houston about 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I was working at KSC, retired, and I want to give back to the community.
Wonderful. Well, we're glad to have you here.
And this way I get to learn more about the community.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you. appreciate you. Thank you for signing up, because we did need an extra, we did need that extra fill in there. All right. So if nothing else, and I have nothing else to add, except we are looking for a full-time qualified member, right?
That is
just
correct.
One, and I don't, if you are interested in the job, call the city hall. They'll fill you in all the requirements for that. All right, seeing nothing else, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.